So the next is we just talk about the sound government finance, how it reflect. The first one which discussed just finished is the importance of the physical discipline. The next one we'll talk about is practice of the physical restraints in the European Union. That is stated in the famous treaty that name is Maastricht, the Maastricht Treaty. That is of national physical constraints is strict. It has rigid rules on the member countries' physical constraints, very restrictive. This stipulated that mainly reflected on the European economy and the monetary union on the third stage setting standards. In that treaty, it stipulates the construction of the European economy and the monetary union in the three phases. The third phase is the third stage is to start the euro, that currency, the single currency in that European Union, and the implementation of the unified monetary policy. This stage has four standards. The first of one of which is about the regulation of the government's finance. The content is the first is the European members, the European members country before they join the eurozone. That the first year this fiscal deficit should not exceed its current year's GDP 3%, except two conditions. The first is that this proportion, although it exceeds 3%, is steadily positive, increasing and in a large scale, and is in a large scale that shrinks to the standard level. And the second exception is this proportion, although it exceeds 3%, is exceptional or contemporary or very temporary situation. And in the past, it's consistently lower than this standard value. And then the second standard is the national debt. The national debt takes a percentage of the GDP should not exceed 60%. A national debt, and except is this proportion is significant decline or fastly approaching the standards. And from the 1960s, and each country's budget deficits in the GDP's percentage is steadily increasing. And the oil crisis, after the oil crisis, is this proportion has even exceed the 3%. And in the 1993, it reached the summit of the peak at the 6.1%. This treaty also stimulates the physical trends after the standards. Each country should try its best to shorten the time to reach the standards, to be the first group of the Eurozone country. And before the deficit reduction is nothing more than the increasing the income or the decreasing the expenditure or both. And the two main types of savings and reducing the current project expenditures and capital expenditures. And if the budget balance achieved, it relies mainly on the income and the state-owned enterprises, etc. It will reduce the disposable income of the household and the business and cause the decline of the total demand, and the demand structure will change in the society and cause the social total savings rate to fall. And if the savings relies on the cutting the capital spending, it will reduce the total fixed assets for formation in the society. And spending cuts in the current account is right to maintain the balance of budget, but it will face a strong political pressure. The European Union countries have the physical idea of the reorganizing the finance. But as a result of the welfare, uh, but this pressure, facing the strong political pressure, the European Union countries has proposed this reorganization um, at the beginning in many years ago, and because of the welfare countries' tradition and construction constructional unemployment. In the 1998, the European Union has totally 18 million unemployment, and its average unemployment is about 11.4. And each country trade counts and each country counts cut their physical spending very much. Is unable to take the it's unable to take the dramatic steps to tighten their physical policies. And this treaty stipulates the budget disciplines and to provide opportunity that is to for the each government to obtain the public's understanding, and therefore the measurements on the pressure when they're facing the political pressure, when they're facing this difficulties on the construction or policies has become less. And since the 1997, the European Union deficits as a share of the GDP fell to 2.1% from the 4.2% in the 1996. Except the Greek, this deficit proportion was the 4%. That is more than the 3% standards. And all the other the rest of 14 countries all has satisfied the standards. And the European as a whole has the significant progress in the debt. After the birth of the euro in 1999 and the establishment of the euro's world currency status, European zone's country will obtain the European countries will get a lot of the interest-free or low-interest financing, and the single currency will increase the European Union's economic growth strength and enhance its international competitiveness. According to the statistics, in 1997, the GDP of European Union member states has 8 trillion US dollars, higher than that of the US, which is 7 trillion US dollars, accounting for about 30% of world total GDP. In the world trade, the European Union's foreign trade has, including trade between European Union member countries, accounts for 20% of total world trade, is higher than 19.6% of the United States, which suggests that at least on the economic scale, the European economic strength is same as the US. The euro has the potential to be widely accepted as a world currency. And once the currency widely accepted as the world currency, it will be used for international reserves and trades. Whatever form this foreign held currency takes, or in the form of bonds or the spot currency foreign exchange. It is cheap for the free. It's a cheap or free source of finance for the money issuer, which is a very huge gain for the European Union.